Hello folks, in this tutorial we're going to build this wine bottle. Now let's take a look how it looks in the SolidWorks. The bottle looks like this. The strategy here is to use only Loft feature and shell feature, and we will use a bunch of guide curves and a bunch of profiles in order to use this Loft. Just to make it visible, if we can see here clearly, there are plenty of different planes here. Each plane has a particular profile, and ultimately we are using Loft in order to connect each profile with the other profile. And we're going to use this guide curves, as you can see right here, just to provide it a proper shape to the guide when it really transforms from one shape to another, or one profile to another. So let's take a look how we do that. So I'm just going to open a new file. First of all, I'm going to make a top plane visible, and we're going to download a bunch of planes which are part of the top plane, like below and above. So let's do that. My top plane is visible. Now you can go to Feature tab and Reference Geometry, click on Plane. I'm going to select the top plane. The first dimension is 7 inches. And I'm going to hit OK. Now, as you see, the plane is on top, but we want this plane to be at the bottom of the top plane. So I'm going to click on Flip button. I develop plane 1 right there. Selecting the plane 1, I'm going to click plane again and develop this 0.250 offset inches plane. Again, this develops it at above the plane 1. We want it to be below the plane 1. So here we go, check the flip box, and we're good to go. So plane 1 and plane 2 are developed, which are below the plane 2 top plane, and now we're going to select the top plane, and we'll develop a few planes above the top plane. The first is at a distance of 3.25 inches. Now click OK. Selecting that plane 3, we will click a plane again, and we will develop this plane at 3 inches. Click OK. Same thing, selecting the plane 4, we will develop plane 5, which has offset of 0.063 inches. Click OK. And by keeping the plane 5 selected, I'm just going to develop plane 6, which is the last plane, and the distance between that is 0.438 inches. There we go. Looks pretty good so far. Click OK. So now we have all different planes where we're going to develop profiles. Starting from the top plane, I'm going to develop the profiles. I will develop a profile on the top plane first, then plane 1, plane 2, and then we'll go above. So let's do that. I'm going to select on top plane. Now, while I'm on top plane, I'm just going to hide all of the planes. Here we go, I'm on top plane, and we are going to use a rectangle, which is a center rectangle. Starting from the origin, I will develop a rectangle, and I'm going to give it a dimension of 2.125 inches on both the sides. So let's do that. So now it's a square. It's 2.125 inches. Click OK. And it has a certain amount of fillet. Now the fillet radius is 0.25 inches. Click OK, and here we go. I'm selecting all 4 points. So we got our fillet ready as well. I'm going to click OK. Now the same profile that we have on the top plane, we need the same profile on the plane 1 as well, which is at the bottom. I'm just going to develop a sketch on plane 1, and I'm going to select sketch 1 that we just developed, and I'm going to click on convert entities, which will actually copy that sketch from top plane to the plane 1. So I'm right here, and I got it copied. I'm going to click OK. So plane 1 has the same sketch as sketch 1 has, or as top plane has. So now that is done. Now I'm going to make plane 2 visible, and we need to sketch on plane 2 something. So I'm going to develop a sketch on plane 2. Clicking on Control 5, I'm just going to develop a center rectangle again. And I will start from the origin. And again, I'm just going to give it a dimension. The dimension this time is 1.625 inches by 1.625 inches. Go, this is ready as well, and the fillet amount here is 0.125 inches. Got it going. I'm just going to provide a fillet real quick. All 4 points been selected. I'm clicking OK. So now this profile is ready as well at the bottom of the plane. Sorry, on plane 2, which is like the bottom of the bottle. If you just want to take a look what I'm developing. So last sketch that we developed is the bottom. Another one is right here. And then we develop something on top plane right here, and we will develop a few more on top as we go along to develop these little details out here as well. So let's do that. Now I'm going to make a plane 3 visible, and I'm going to develop a sketch on plane 3. I'm going to click on top plane. Sorry, I'm going to come on top view, and I developed a circle. Now the circle's diameter is 1.165 inches, but here we are punching the radius, so I'm going to do divide by 2, and there we go. That's the first circle's radius. So first circle is done, and we are out of the sketch. Now I'm going to make the plane 4 visible, which is a little above, and then I'm actually going to sketch on plane 4. Here we go. Plane 4 has a circle which starts from origin, and the diameter of that circle is 1.085 inches. Divide by 2. Here we go. So that is done as well. Now I'm going to make a plane 5 visible, which is a little above plane 4, and I'm going to click the plane 5. I'm going to develop a sketch on it. Again, circle, and we're going to start a circle from the origin. Just making it a little bigger just so that I avoid any unwanted relationship around. And plane 5 right here is 1.175 inches. Divide by 2. There we go. We got that going. So plane 5 is ready as well with a profile on it. Now I'm going to make a plane 6 visible, and I'm going to develop a sketch on plane 6, which is all the way on the top of all the planes. And plane 6 has the same profile or same circle in diameter that plane 5 has. So I'm going to select the sketch 6 right here. As you can see, select sketch 6 that we just developed on plane 5, and then I'm going to do convert entity, so I'll have that sketch copied on a new sketch on plane 6. Here we go. It's done, and we are out of there now. So now we have all our sketches, all our profiles ready on each plane that we just developed. And now the next step is going to be that we will develop a profile which will be used as a guide curve. So I'm going to develop a sketch on the front plane, and right before I do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to hide all the planes that we developed. So that's how the profile looks like. I'm just going to hide the top plane as well. Now the first point and the last point is the height of our entire wine bottle. So I'm going to go and click on center line, and what I'll do is I will start from here, and I'll develop a line all the way down here, which looks like this. So here we go. We got the entire length of our bottle. Now after developing this, I'm still going to develop a profile out here. So what I'll do for that is that, just to avoid any other unwanted relationships, I'm just going to actually hide all the previous sketches that I developed, and I'll just leave only one out there. Now if we see very carefully in the image, and if we really start developing a sketch out there, the profile will be like one horizontal line, straight line, another horizontal, another straight, up till here, and from here to here there is a spline which is going to be different than the line, which is going to be spline curve. Again, if we go a little further from here to here, it looks like it's a straight line, and then finally there's some fillet down here, and that connects to the center of the bottle. So that's the type of profile that I'm going to make here, which is very rough at this point, and then we will refine it by giving it dimensions. So let's take a look how we do that. I'm going to click on the line tool right here on top, and I'm going to start. So it looks something like this, and then I am going to start here, and then we will have something going on here, and then click OK. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from here, and here we go. I'm just going to end it here. Let me see how it really looks like. And then finally, I'm just going to use a spline tool between here to here. I'm going to click OK. So exactly does not look like it. I'm just going to apply a bunch of center lines from here to the center line. And I'm going to keep doing that. Just going to give it dimensions later on. So don't panic. Everything will be... all the dimensions will be given in a bit. So here what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this line just so it will actually not develop any other confusion, and I'm going to keep it here. So there we go. So we got this going. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now it's time to give it a dimension. So let's start from top. Now this dimension needs to be 0.588 inches. And then the dimension between this and this needs to be the horizontal dimension. The height needs to be 0.063 inches. So we got that going as well. Now, if we are really thinking about giving dimension to this line, that line is 0.543 inches. So we got that going. And now this line is actually a little different than the other line, but this is vertical, so it will not let us move. So in order to let this line to be a little at a different angle, I am going to delete this relationship. So I deleted that, so now it will let me do that. So here we go. This dimension at this point is 0.583 inches. And it's a little bigger, so we got that going. Now it's time to give this line a dimension, which is 1.063 inches. So that's been developed as well. Alright, now those dimensions are done so far. Now it's time to make sure that the spline works okay. So we can see this little handle out here. I'm going to click on the first point, and I will give it a relationship called a vertical relationship. So it will really actually merge with that vertical line on top right there. So click OK there, and I'm going to click this point now. Zooming in, I'm going to select this first point, and I will give it a vertical relationship as well. So it actually kind of tangents on both the profile one by one. We're not doing anything crazy out here, so that is done so far. So let's give this dimension from here to there first in order to avoid that. So I'm going to give this this dimension first. 3.25 inches, and now from here I think it will be more easier to give a dimension. That this needs to be 3 inches. There we go. That looks a little better. And because we did not know the dimension of this area, so let's measure that just in case. That looks 0.438 inches, but it's actually making it over-defined, so I'm just going to... So now that is done as well, and ultimately everything seems to be dimensioned. Now we need to provide a little fillet out here. So I am going to go forward and look for the fillet dimension for that, which is 0.25 inches, and I got that going. I'm just going to pick this little detail, click OK. So ultimately we got that dimension knocked out as well. So that is precise. Everything else looks pretty good. Now what we really need to do here is that because every little detail is like figured out, what we really need out here is to connect these two joints. So to connect those two joints, I am going to develop a center line which will go straight up till here, and then it connects here. So these are center lines. And then finally, I'm going to develop an ellipse right here, starting from this point. This is the smaller radius, this is the bigger radius. Perfect, I got that going. Now I'm going to use a trim tool in order to delete whatever we don't need. So here we go. The perfect detail is out there, and that's what we were looking for. I'm just going to make this as a construction line as well, because we're not going to use that. And I'm going to make this as construction line as well. So all of them are defined now. Looks pretty good. Now we need the same profile on the other side in order to be able to use as a guide curve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on mirror entities, and I am going to select possibly all entities, and I'm going to click on mirror about, and I'm going to pick the center line. So finally we have all the details that we were looking for. I'm going to click OK. Now if we see here, these are all construction lines, so make sure that, you know, if it really bothers you, then you can delete it, but if you keep it then make sure they're construction lines, because if they're solid lines, it may actually interfere in the entire Loft feature. Now one part is done. So if I get out of the sketch and if I actually make all other sketches visible as well, then we will see that everything we draw has a perfect definition, and it is actually making a wireframe of the bottle. Now all we really missed to make a complete wireframe is like it has the wires on this side, but it does not have wire on this side. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So if we see on the front plane, we develop the current profile with mirroring it. We're just going to copy the same thing and draw on the right plane. So if we draw on the right plane, it will be right here, and it will have the profile, so it will actually complete the entire wireframe of the bottle. There are different ways to do that. The one way to do is just that you can actually edit the sketch 8. You can go inside the sketch when the sketch is active, you select everything, and then you hit Control C on the keyboard. By Control C, you're copying all the data that's in the sketch, and from there you actually take this data and paste on the right plane. So I'm just going to get out of the sketch. I'm going to go to the right plane, and I'm going to develop a sketch there. I am on the right plane right now, and while I'm on the right plane and I'm in a plane, I'm actually going to Control V. And by doing Control V, you will actually paste the sketch, but if you see that, it just pastes a little offset. So now in order to bring the sketch at the right location, I need to have like some reference points that, okay, this particular sketch is meeting here. So what I'm going to do for now, I'm going to click on move entities, and I'm just going to move this entire sketch on the left hand side for now. And once I do that, if you might have paid attention on sketch 8, where this really meets this point, it starts actually at the origin. So if I grab the sketch from this particular point on right plane and drop on this one, that will work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go on sketch 9, I'm going to go on the same plane. So if I grab it from here and if I move this point on the origin of this sketch right here, then it will actually work. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to click on the move entities, and then I'm going to select all the entities. I'm going to start at the start point. I'm going to pick this particular point, and then I'm going to move it right here. If you can't see clearly, make sure you zoom in, and that looks precise. So I'm just going to drop it here. And now if I go out of my sketch and if I rotate this by hiding the front plane, I'll be actually able to see every detail looks pretty good, and it actually is passing through each other. So now that's what we are looking for. Now this was one way to do it, by like Control C and Control V. There's another way to do this as well, and what you really need to do is I'm just going to hide the new sketch. What I'm going to do, that feature or that particular command is known as derived sketch, which is currently gray right now. This will be activated only in the case when you have a right selection done. Pay attention here that I am not in any type of a sketch mode, but I'm just outside, and what I'm doing here is that by remaining outside with no sketch, I'm actually selecting sketch 8, which is a sketch I want to copy from front plane to the right plane. So I have selected sketch 8, holding the control button. Where I want to copy it, I want to copy it to the right plane. So I'm selecting the right plane. and the sketch where I want to copy it. But the sequence needs to be select the sketch first and select the plane second. After that, I'm going to go to insert and I'm going to click on derived sketch. The moment I do that, it will actually copy the entire sketch at the same location on the right plane. And it will show right here that it's a derived sketch. So it actually developed a relationship, and you will not be able to edit that sketch until you underderive it. To underderive it, you can right click on it and you can say underderive it, and it will be actually independent sketch. In this case, we really are not going to edit it because we really want to keep it as it is and work with it. Now the entire profile is ready. The next step is to start using the Loft command and start actually joining everything. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to click on the Loft post base. I'm going to click on the profile right here. My first profile is going to be the bottom, and it's going to be this. Now I have this going, which is ready. It just gives me a very angular shape. I don't want it. I want it to be like curve. So in that case, I'm going to go to guide curves and I'm going to select this little detail that I developed here. Pay attention. The moment I click on that, it actually selects as an open loop. And I'm just going to select, if it does not do in your case, make sure you do that. Just check this box and click OK. So it moved that side. Similar commands in all four sides. And here we go. It just looks like that it is almost there. And I'm going to click OK. So we got this going. And once this is done, click OK. So I can actually see that. Now, the moment I did that, you can see that everything else is like kind of gone. The profiles are gone. In order to make this profile visible, click on the plus sign right here and make this sketch 8 and sketch 10 derived visible. Once it's visible, what we need to do, select on a Loft post base again. This time, instead of selecting a sketch, we will actually select a surface. Click on that, it selects as a face 1, and then second profile is that we select this lines out here, which will develop like a straight line. Now as you can see, those lines looks a little bit odd, so in that case we need to move this green dot a little bit to the left. Make sure this point and this point is matching. That way you will have like a straight extrusion. Once you're here, click OK, but make sure the merge result is checked. If this box is not checked, it will actually develop multiple bodies out of multiple loft, and we don't want that. We want the entire bottle to be one body. So make sure the merge result is checked. Once we do that, we are out there, and like one more part of the bottle is ready. Now we will use Loft again, but this time instead of starting from here to here, we will start from top. So let's do that. I'm going to select this and this, and that looks kind of at the right location. And I don't need any other guide curves out here, so that's ready too. The next Loft is between that face. So I'm going to select the face and I'm going to select this sketch. Okay, so in this case, what we are missing right here is that we're missing the guide curve. So I'm just going to click on the guide curve, click OK, and that's what I'm going to do. Select all the guide curves. I'm going to click OK. OK. And I got that going. So here we go. I'm going to do select this one, click OK right here too. So I had all the profiles, open loops been selected. I'm going to click OK. So that profile is ready as well. Now I'm going to click on Loft post base again, and I'm just going to click on the surface right here, face 1, and I'm going to pick this profile right here, and it develops a sketch, but again it has this, you know, changed detail. So what we need to do, go to Control 5 and make sure that you actually bring both of them in like the same alignment. Here we don't need the guide curve, so that's okay. Now we got that going as well. Alright, so last step here is to use a Loft, the last Loft, and we will combine this and this shape together, and we will have the entire bottle finished. So let's take a look at how we do that. Click on the Loft post base again. This time I'm going to select both the faces. I'm going to select this face, face 1, and I'm going to select this face as a face 2. It develops a surface between them, and we still need to select the guide curves because it just develops a straight So if I click OK out here, and you will see that it does not give like a smooth transition between that shape to this shape. So I'm going to go back again and select the guide curves that we developed on front plane and right plane. So I'm going to click on the guide curve box right here, and I will select this. And the moment I click on this, as you can see, it just shows me a gray arrow. So that means that we cannot select it for some reason. Now, it does not mean that. It means it just selected the entire loop, which has multiple open loops. So we have two profile that's like not closed, which like one on the left side and one on the right side that we just mirrored from the center line. So once you're at this stage, all you need to do after being in this stage, click on this line again. And then it will let you select disactivates and click OK. So here we go. So we are out of that part first. Now we need to select another one. So you can see loop 1, and I'm going to select another one. I clicked on this. Again, it shows me the same thing because it has multiple open loops in the file. So after keeping this selected open loop, I'm just going to click again on this line. It activates, click OK. So that's the second part. Now I'm going to repeat the same step with all 4. It's gray right now, so click once and click again, and it activates it. Here we go. 3 sides are done. This last 4 is remaining, and I'm going to click again. It activates, and here we go. So finally, this looks like it is actually taking a shape, which is very, very close to the original shape. Now, after even doing this, if I click OK, and if I hide all types so I can see it clearly, well, it still does not. It got the shape from the sides of the guide curve, but it still did not get the shape like from here the moment it changes and goes up till here and merges here. So in order to get like a nice geometry out there, I'm going to go back to that particular loft, and I'm going to apply a start and end constraints right here. And in that case, I'm just going to do tendency to face, second last option, and tendency to face in that case as well. It gives us this option, tendency to face, because we selected phase 1 and phase 2. If you have selected sketch 1 and sketch 2, then you will have only option called normal to profile. You can select that and it will function exactly the same way that this is functioning. But in this case, we have selected faces, so we are picking up tendency to face. Now after this, I'm just going to click OK, and you will see a difference in the result, that it really now merges very clearly, very smoothly, and the transition is very natural. After looking at this detail, we can see that still the bottle is kind of solid. So if I section it, you will be able to see that the bottle is solid. Now we need to make the bottle hollow. In order to do that, what I will do is that get out of the section view, I'm going to apply the shell command right here. I'm going to click on that, and the shell thickness needs to be 0.125 inches. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on show preview, and if you have your mouse over, this box says faces to remove. So we don't want the top here, because that's the area where we'll access the bottle from. So here we go. Well, I just picked that, and it will remove that particular face, and we got everything else going. Don't worry about the multiple thickness right here. We are okay with that for now. So click OK, and it is showing us the error telling us the thickness value is greater than the minimum radius of the curvature. The shell may succeed, but could cause undesirable results such as bad geometry, and etc. And let's see what's the result in our case. Usually it comes out very clean. So in order to see that, what I'm going to do is that actually, let's see how it looks. Let's take a look, and there we go. Geometry does not seem to have any type of problems. It turns out very clean everywhere. So it was an error. In some cases it does not work. In our case, it just worked everything perfect. Yeah, here we go. In the section view, we can see in detail that the entire geometry looks pretty neat, pretty clean. If you would like, you can provide some fillets on top here on the sharp edges, and it will just make model a little bit more neater. The bottom looks pretty clean as well. And I think that concludes this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.